Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman newscast. We've been telling you here that Hamas continues to break the Gaza ceasefire, that it's dragging its feet on returning the remains of Israeli hostages, that it refuses to disarm, and that it's been dragging so-called collaborators out into the Gaza streets and murdering them in cold blood. It's pure evil. Yet Hamas appears to have the continued support of a large majority of the Palestinian people. According to a new poll, more Palestinians support the October 7th massacre now than they did 5 months ago, even after President Trump's Gaza ceasefire went into effect. The poll from the People's Company for Polls and Survey Research revealed that Palestinian support for Hamas's October 7th attack rose by 3%, from 50% to 53% from May to October of 2025. Palestinians in the West Bank, we call it Judea and Samaria here, were surveyed at 76 different locations, and Palestinians in Gaza at 44 different locations. So this was a pretty comprehensive survey. And that's completely disturbing because it found that nearly 2/3, 70% of all Palestinians said they do not want Hamas to disarm, and 60% said they support Hamas as a governing body. By the way, the numbers were significantly higher in the so-called West Bank, although a majority of Gazans still supports Hamas as well, even after all the misery this demonic death cult has inflicted upon them over the past 2 years. Not sure how you fix that. Someone who knows all about countering the anti-Israel madness is Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danon. He's got one of the world's toughest jobs in the belly of the beast, and he joined me recently at the Republican Jewish Coalition Summit in Las Vegas to share what Israel is really up against. Take a look.
Ambassador Danon, always great to be with you. We're here at the Republican Jewish Coalition event in Las Vegas. And Ambassador, we come here at a time where, look, anti-Israel sentiment and just open, naked anti-Semitism is on the rise, including right here in America, of all places. Tell us what you're seeing at the UN right now. You're kind of in the belly of the beast for anti-Israel sentiment. What are you encountering on a daily basis at the UN?
Thank you for having me again, Eric. It's always great to see you. Unfortunately, since October 7th, we saw a rise of anti-Semitism all around the world, including the US, unfortunately. We saw what happened in Europe, and also we felt it at the UN. And I found out that many times it has nothing to do with the reality on the ground. Even now, we have a ceasefire in Gaza. So you would expect those European countries who come against us, like Ireland and Slovenia or Spain, will deal with other things, but it's not the case. They continue to spread lies, blood libels against Israel, against our soldiers, and they continue with this campaign. It is rooted anti-Semitism. We have to call it, and we have to fight it. And I'm speaking with many leaders, and I tell them very directly, it is not enough to condemn anti-Semitism. It's important, but at the first stage, you have to take actions. You have to indict those who commit hate crime. You have to condemn those who promote hate on social media. You have to take actions.
Yeah. Ambassador, what does it say that, as you said, there's a ceasefire in Gaza right now? There's a genocide, many have called it genocide, for instance, in Nigeria, Christians being slaughtered there by Islamists. Sudan as well is a mess. But these forces, these so-called pro-Palestinian forces, are strangely silent. What does that say about their true agenda? You figure they'd be cheering the ceasefire, but they're silent.
Well, I have no expectations. Hypocrisy in action. Look at what happened in Gaza. When we decided to sign the ceasefire agreement, Hamas got out of the tunnels with brand new uniforms, with weapons, and they started to execute their own people. Yeah. And where is the outrage? Where is the condemnation? Where is the Secretary General of the United Nations? Silence. No one is speaking at the UN because it is not Israel. So we spoke. I spoke on behalf of those people in Gaza that no one speak about them.
You're a voice for moral clarity at the UN, which is a place that's all too often, sadly, morally bankrupt. Speaking of Gaza, Ambassador, Hamas playing a double game here, as they usually do. They're refusing to disarm. How can Hamas be pretty much brought to heel What does it take for them to finally disarm? They'll probably refuse to do it willingly, it seems. What's it going to take to finally get Hamas out of the picture in Gaza so that whole situation can move forward to hopefully a new day?
We are committed, Eric, to achieve the goals of the war. First to bring back the hostages. It was a miracle. It was, God helped us to bring back all the hostages who were alive. There were people who were very skeptical about that, and it happened. Now we demand that we will receive the fallen hostages. It's moving very slowly, and they are breaching the agreement. And the second part, which is much more complicated, is disarmament. They have to disarm. If they will not do it through diplomacy, we will have to take action and make sure that they are not posing a threat against Israel anymore.
They must disarm. I mean, that's part of the deal. Phase two now that we're at. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
It will be challenge. It's hard for me to imagine that they will do it willingly and come and say, "Hey, we have tunnel over there. Come, let me show you. Where are the tunnel?
Right.
Where are the RPGs?" Those are radicals. So if it will not happen through the international intervention, we will have to do it ourselves.
Ambassador, you're fighting the good fight every single day at the UN, of course. You're going against Slovenia, Spain, Ireland. You also had to be concerned about the UK, France, Australia, Canada, unilaterally recognizing a Palestinian state. A disastrous move on many levels that emboldened Hamas, I believe. Can you talk about the ripple effects of that? This disastrous diplomatic effort by these Western nations to recognize a Palestinian state, whether Israel wanted it or not.
I'm worried about it because I identified a new phenomena. You have leaders in Europe that actually take actions against Israel, not because they want to improve the situation of the Palestinians or Israelis, because they want to play the game and it serves their domestic political needs.
Yeah.
So they ignore the facts, they ignore reality on the ground, the ceasefire, and they continue with those games. Speaking about the Palestinian state, no one is speaking about it today in the Middle East. Macron probably wants to be elected to another position, so he's coming to the UN and delivering a speech about it. But that's shameful because they should care about the situation, how they can stabilize the situation and not ignite more issues.
Yeah, no doubt. It seems that you mentioned the domestic political considerations. It seems they're trying to gain favor with their growing Muslim populations as part of it. Ambassador, I see Israel as the first line of defense for all of Western civilization. What don't these Western leaders get? What are they missing about, number one, the threat of radical Islam, but number two, the indispensable role Israel plays in fighting against that and preventing it from coming to the West?
You cannot appease those radicals, period. And you know what, Eric? We'll talk in a few months. I'm sure you will invite me. I invite you to come to the UN.
Yeah.
It will be a pleasure to host you. And you will see that even after we have a ceasefire in Gaza, those radicals in the streets of London and Paris will continue to confront the police, will continue to demonstrate the government of those European countries, because they are not only against Israel, they are against the values of Israel, the Judeo-Christian values that we share with so many countries around the world. So they will continue. So you cannot appease radicals.
Talking about the downside of these weak Western leaders, but President Trump has been a different story. Very pro-Israel, obviously, great relationship with the world's one and only Jewish state. Talk about the Trump effect for Israel and in the region in a more broad sense. What kind of impact has he had as he brings a peace through strength philosophy to the Middle East?
Well, we are grateful for President Trump. He's a doer. He moved the embassy to Jerusalem. He recognized the Golan Heights. He joined us attacking the nuclear reactors in Tehran. And he brought the Abraham Accords. Very important agreements. And we saw that even during the war, we kept the relationship with the United Arab Emirates, with Bahrain, with Morocco. And Eric, I cannot give you names now, but I'm optimistic. I believe that we will expand the Abraham Accords with more Arab countries and with more Muslim countries. And I'm sure that President Trump, with his leadership, will be the one who will actually push the sides to make it happen.
Yeah, it seems that we are on the verge. A big part of that has been the Iranian regime being defanged in many ways, I guess you could say. The 12-day war, Ambassador, Iran suffers a major blow, nuclear facilities destroyed, but they're trying to rebuild their ballistic missile program. and their proxies around the region. What's the state of things with Iran right now and the threats from that regime?
So it was a very successful attack. We pushed them back. It's not an imminent threat like it used to be, but we have capabilities and we are watching very carefully what's happening in Iran today. And if there will be a need, we will be there. We will be there, and I believe not only by ourselves. I believe the US and other countries will join us. And I think the message was very clear. We will not allow Iran to achieve nuclear weapon, period. We saw what happened with North Korea. When the world ignored the signs, we are not ignoring any sign.
Yeah, and the Iranian regime exposed, I think, is a paper tiger at the end of the day. As you look around the region, and you're in the UN, obviously, what are the threats are you concerned about potentially? Erdogan in Turkey, for instance, very vocal, pro-Hamas. We have, obviously, Qatar. Any other nations you're concerned about that you're kind of sounding the alarm about at the UN?
So we have to realize that the Muslim Brotherhood continue to spread hate. They try to be active in Syria. Hezbollah in Lebanon, they're trying to come back to the same positions they were before we attacked them. So they are not accepting the reality that we defeated them, we degraded their capabilities, and they should move on and take care of their own people. No, those are bad guys, and they will stay bad guys, and they will continue to think about ways to harm Israel, to harm the US, and to harm the Judeo-Christian values that we share. So we have to watch it. It was a successful 2 years. We achieved a lot. We gained the respect of the world for the activities of the IDF and the lions and the lionesses of Israel. But we have to be very cautious about the future because they are not going anywhere.
Yeah. We're here at the Republican Jewish Coalition event in Las Vegas, Ambassador, and this rise in anti-Semitism, it's unavoidable. Radical left, of course, radical Islamists, we expect that. But on the right even now, the political right here in America even, which has been a safe haven for the Jewish people historically, we see this rise. How concerned are you about it?
I'm very concerned because you see it coming from the right and from the left, and you see TV hosts, using their platforms to incite against Israel, trying to actually ignite a fight between Israel and the US. We are brothers, we are sisters, we share the same enemies, we share the same future, and we are grateful for the support from the US, but Israel is also standing and supporting the US. We never asked the US to send troops or to fight our wars. We always fought our wars ourselves, but we have to cherish that partnership. And I think the people in the US are smarter than that. They can appreciate the real bond between Israel and the US, and to understand the importance of the bond. We share intelligence, we fight the bad actors. You don't have to send your troops, your aircraft carriers, because we are there. We are the cheapest aircraft carrier of the United States because we fight the fight and we win the wars.
What can, say, Christians in particular do to stand with Israel, the Jewish people? Can we do more? What can we do?
First, I want to thank our allies and friends. They stood with us for 2 years. They prayed for us. They sent support to us. I saw the amount of support that was received from Christian ministries to the people of Israel. So we are grateful for that. And we can always, do more. I think they have to speak up. They have to speak up to tell the truth. And I think the majority of the people support Israel in the United States. But they have to be more vocal. They have to speak up.
This is a time for boldness. Lions, as you said earlier. Okay, last question. Big goals for the UN in the remainder of your tenure. We don't know how long it's going to last, but goals looking ahead, what you want to accomplish at the UN on behalf of the state of Israel.
So first, we have to rebuild the bridges. Now is the time to rebuild the bridges and to expand the diplomatic relations of Israel. I was here when we started the Abraham Accords, and I was involved, and I'm very proud of that. I think now is the time to start to expand it with other countries. We're already doing it quietly, and I'm very optimistic about it. I think when you look at the interest of the moderate Arab countries, they share our goals. They understand that we have to fight the radicals, and I think we can achieve a lot together.
We're on the verge of a new Middle East, it seems.
I hope so. I'm optimistic about that.
Yeah, and you're in the middle of it. Ambassador Danon, thank you as always. God bless. Keep up the great work.
Thank you very much, Erick.
Great sit down as always with Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Danon. Folks, think about what he's up against as he laid out in our interview. Look, not only Spain, Ireland, Slovenia, Britain, France, Germany, Canada, Australia. Not only the West, Israel's so-called allies piling on at the UN, but of course he has the Islamic world, the coalition of Islamic nations there at the UN, voting against Israel consistently and viciously at times with various resolutions. To put it in perspective, the UN has passed more resolutions against Israel than any other nation, including Communist China, the Soviet Union, Communist Cuba, North Korea, Iran, the list goes on. It really, the UN, sums up what Isaiah described in the book of Isaiah, where he called, and he talked about times where good is called evil and evil is called good. Welcome to the United Nations. Hey, if you like what you're hearing, be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. By the way, you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I've been very active on X in the past few days, in particular, talking about this woke right, the Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel wing that needs to be exposed. We're doing exactly that. I'm doing it on X. And also, if you missed yesterday's newscast, I talked all about it. We did a live stream where we really dug in on that, and we called out that Tucker Carlson wing. So check that out as well. You can see all of our videos right here in the archives. Until next time, thanks for joining us. God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.